All right. Hey, kia ora, Nigel. How you going, man?
Very well, thank you. Kia ora.
Welcome to another episode or chapter. What do you like, man? Do you like chapter or episode? I don't like bloody episode for some odd reason.
Don't have a preference, mate.
I'm leaning more towards chapter, guys. Hey, please leave us a comment whether you want to call it a chapter or episode. I'm leaning towards chapter because I think that would be a better way to do it, in my opinion. But I'm happy to go with what people think as well. Hey, thank you for your time, Nigel. Really appreciate it. Again, I just wanted to start this community to make sure that we can add as much as value to people's life. Especially in these situations, in these circumstances, there's quite a bit going on. So I just want to start by asking you a question. Tell us a bit about yourself, about who do you have in your family, and what do you like to do in your spare time?
Sure. Okay. So originally from the far north, a very little town called Peria, where there's a marae and that's about it. Grew up in Auckland. Well, I still claim I'm a Northlander. In my family, I have a wife who is my best friend. She saved me from myself. She's my partner in everything I do. Her name is Jian. She's Chinese. I met her in Shanghai. I lived in Shanghai for 7 years. Learned to speak, read and write Chinese. And now that I'm back in New Zealand, I'm learning Te Reo Māori.
I was really fascinated when you shared this yesterday as well. I was like, wow, that was something that I never thought that you could. And that's something, no, we all got something like we don't know. So that's good. Yeah. Yeah, man. So, and this is a question that I ask everyone, because I think we all are blessed or gifted or given, whatever the hell do you want to call it. I think we've all got something unique. So tell us a bit about something unique about yourself too, man.
Unique about myself? I don't know if I do, Jasmeet. I think, my passion, one of my passions in life is surfing. And I don't know if that's unique, but it feeds my soul. So growing up, I spent a lot of time in the water just because it was crazy and it was fun. Now I just go into the water to feed my soul, to see the sunset or sunrise or sitting in the ocean. Just
I'm really big on that, man. Feeding your soul is probably the biggest thing. So when I'm driving motorbike, that's when I'm feeding my soul. Like, I don't like driving car. Like, okay, we got to go one place to another, and especially in Auckland, and the weather as well. So, but I love driving motorbike, and that's when I'm feeding my soul too. So, okay, well, that's interesting. I didn't know that as well. So that's good, man. So, look, obviously, tell us a bit about what you do in terms of for living, and few steps or few measures that we can take given the situation right now for some of the retailers are not good. So tell us everything about your business and what have you been doing in the last 4 weeks as well, please.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so it's a bit of my professional life. So I've been in commercial real estate for 24 years. Had primarily specialised in the South Auckland industrial market, apart from a 7-year stint in China where I ran the industrial colliers business for China based in Shanghai. I now own, or one of the co-owners of Raywhite Commercial. So we're a commercial real estate firm, but our core markets is the Auckland City Fringe office and retail and South Auckland industrial. So during the lockdown, being a business owner myself, having a personal guarantee on our lease, one of the first conversations we had was with our landlord to see what sort of help or rent relief we would get. Initially, it was none, so we referred to clause 27.5 in the Auckland District deed of lease, which everyone sort of talked about, and we said we can't get access, we're not going to pay. At the end of the day, that was not really what we wanted to do, but we just needed to stop that. And then a couple of days later, we rang our landlord, who was a bit more engaging at the time, and we wanted to have a long-term relationship with him. So in the end, he gave us, we agreed 50% for 2 months and reviewed that in June. With my teams, I've got a team of 12, including myself, brokers. because of our own experience, we thought, well, let's get on the phone and ring up some of our clients, people we had done the leases with, just to see how they are, what sort of help they might be getting.
Really well.
And yeah, like on the back of that, we've just put out a research report on the findings, of which 75% of the businesses had received some sort of rent relief. Of that, I'm trying to remember the numbers, it was something like 50% of that 75% had to ask their landlord. 20% the landlord might have come to them, and the balance might have just agreed that other ways they had a relationship with the landlord in other ways. So it's been a really interesting exercise, because at the start of the lockdown, a lot of landlords were going, well, bad luck, I've got personal guarantees, I've got bank guarantees and all that. And then towards the end, they've been a lot more, negotiable is not the word, but just a lot more understanding, I guess, and willing to help.
Absolutely, and I think, and that was a trend going on as well. So I just want to take this moment to thank you as well to looking at our lease as well. Thank you, man. Yeah, sorry, keep going.
Oh, no problem. So I guess it's a lot of what we had been doing during the lockdown is really just seeing how we can support. You know, one of the key values of my business is be a person first and agent second, because at the end of the day, you know, our commercial real estate is dealing with businesses, and business employed people, and a property is not worth anything unless there's the business in there. So that's our values, I guess. Value.
Absolutely, man. If we just treat other human being as human and try and understand what they are going through and try and support them as much as we can, I think that's probably we will win most of the time. This is exactly what we did, man. Me and my team, we just went ahead and sent a few emails to all the clients, got in touch with anyone who were having a problem. Obviously, we're still supporting, so yeah, man, that's good. Thank you. Well done to you. That's a great work, I would say. Keep going, man.
Well, hopefully, I mean, we recognised that during the lockdown, revenue, let's just not think about it. Let's not get caught up in it. The situation is what it is, and let's just do what we can. And that's what we've been doing.
Right. So, and obviously, you've been in the business for a long, long time. What are some of the steps that we can take right now, especially for people holding big yards and industrial spaces? What can they do, man? What are some of the things that you can recommend them to make sure that they come out of the situation in the best possible way, what they can, not impacting their cash flow too much? Is there anything else?
Sure. Yeah, like my advice would be to engage in the conversation with your landlord. I'm more than happy to review people's leases. So depending on how long you have to go on your lease, how your rent review clauses are structured, and all of that, there may be other ways to renegotiate your lease, whether it could be take your right of renewal early, but seek some incentive around that. But it's really just, you just want to have the civil conversation with your landlord. If you've been a good tenant, you've been paying your bills, you haven't been a lot of a problem, the landlord will probably support you. If you've been a pain in the ass, then it might come back to bite you. But it really is just engaging those conversations. The last thing you want to do is call in the lawyers, because that just causes pain. Not that lawyers are bad, they're great, but it's really about just ending the conversation and working out how you can find sort of a middle ground. Landlords don't want buildings to come empty.
Of course. At the end, I've obviously got a few questions for you, man. So what I did, I put those questions. I asked a question on a couple of groups that I'm part of, and I've got a few questions for you. If you can answer those, that'll be great. If you can't, that's absolutely fine too. You can obviously come back to me later on as well, and I can go back to them. So one of those questions were, man, any good resources, advice for newbies wanting to lease a commercial space for the first time? What can you recommend there, bud?
Yeah, absolutely. So we see this a lot. We do a lot of people who are new to the market or starting a business and whatnot, and they'll have a view of what the market might be. And often people will go to websites and they'll go to Trade Me and they'll go, look, I need 200 square meters and these locations, and 100 listings will pop up. And they think, oh, it's a high vacancy market. I'm going to really get a sweet deal here. But a lot of those listings are out of date. They're wrong. The commercial leasing space is a general agency market. So if you were to buy a house, for example, the agent you're dealing with is like to have a sole agency on it, so they will control the information.
Right. Yes.
In the commercial space, it's a general agency, so all agents have access to all properties.
Right.
You're actually better to pick one agent to work with, because that agent can research the market on your behalf. They can come back and go, you've told me you want 200 square meters of this type of space in this location. Give them a couple of days. They'll come back and go, here are all the options available to you. And then you can work through it, shortlist, and come out with the right solution.
So it's basically like an individual. So it's better to work with just one agent to make sure they can help you with whatever the person is looking for. Okay.
That would be my advice. Obviously, you need to pick the right agent, but
that's another task.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you. So moving on to the next one. Are there new clauses to be added for new commercial leases in regards to emergency period?
Oh, look, I imagine there will be. I imagine, I imagine the sale and purchase agreement, there's going to have to be clauses added to it, and to the agreement to lease and the deed of lease. I can absolutely imagine new clauses will be added. I think when people are negotiating their lease, they will want to have something in there if it doesn't exist already. We're in a whole new world.
Of course, after this. Moving on to the next one, man. Our newest landlord is going to earthquake strengthening and tidying up inside our premises during level 3 and probably into level 2. Would it be reasonable to ask for some reduction in our rent, and what sort of percentage can they expect?
Sure. Look, I think if you can't access the property, so if you can't run your business from it because your landlord is in there doing some work, then I think it would be reasonable. And so it would come down to, I'd struggle to give an answer, say, look, it should be 50, 30 or whatever percent without knowing a bit of background about it. If you can continue and the landlord's doing the strengthening, it's not going to interrupt your business, then probably not.
Even during the level 3, what if, so it's like an opportunity for the landlord though, right, to do what they were meant to be doing. So I think obviously you need more information to really advise on this. Is that correct?
Correct.
So what
yep.
I'll do is,
yeah, absolutely.
Sorry. So what we'll do is we'll obviously put your details, in the link or down below somewhere, and we'll make sure that, we pass this on to them, and you can have a chat to, you can have a chat to them and help them as much as you can, as you normally do. Thank you so much again, man.
No problem. Hey, Jasmeet, just had a thought coming back to a question you asked earlier about what can businesses do if they've got a yard and whatnot. So I answered it as if they lease it, if they own it, and we are talking with companies about this now. So if they own the property they're running the business from, what they can do, and some of them are looking to do, is put what we call a sale and lease back. So they will put a lease over the property, say write it for 6 years, write themselves a lease, then sell the property to an investor, which enables them to unlock the capital, redeploy it into their business or whatnot, but they then become a tenant. So we're definitely seeing that happen.
Right. That's an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, it happens, not a lot, but it happens. Definitely.
I did not know any of that, any at all. Obviously, I don't do that, but yeah, okay, good to know. You do.
Well, for sometimes if you're what we call an owner occupier, you own the property you're running your business from. All your eggs in one basket. If your business fails, your commercial investment's going to suffer, and as a landlord, you want to drive the rent up as a tenant, you want to keep it low. So, you know, it can be a bit of a conflict. So some people will go, well, look, let's.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that.
No problem.
So what's happening, some of our clients are obviously, what they've done is they've got everything at one bank, which is not a good thing to do right now, just because, you know, if they're not able to make repayments on any of the houses, or just because their income has been impacted, the banks can actually take security. So I know what you mean. This is one of the things that we're really big on, to make sure, you know, they're doing and they're setting up their structure absolutely right. Thank you, Nigel. Really appreciate it. Any last thoughts that you want to leave it, or share your experience that you've gained over the number of years, man?
Look, I think nothing springs to mind other than, you know, my 24 years, the people I've seen succeed are the good people. You know, it's the people who are mean, whether they're on the buy side or the sell side or whatnot. You know, people have long memories, and they're very happy to see people fail when that happens. So I think it's just always, you know, be human.
Yeah, I think you did touch on that point too, that if you've been a pain to your landlord, guess what's going to happen?
I mean, I'll be happy to see you go.
They want to take that opportunity and kick you as well. So I think that's where humility and just being a human, to, you know, and treat other humans with just respect is just going to go all the way, man. I can't agree with you more. Thank you so much, Nigel. I really appreciate it, man. Really humble, and thank you for your time again. Have an amazing day. Take care, bud.
Take care, right? Bye-bye.
Take care, bye.